Hey, IT Nation, Sean Lardo here with another episode / installment of the Wise Up podcast. I'm on with my colleague and co-host, Matt Tupper. Matt, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty well, Sean. How about you?
Doing well. I really appreciate that you took time out of your day while going through your closet to go and do this episode with me.
Yeah, I was thinking about trying to get like a server rack or wiring something in view, but this is the closest we're gonna get. I do like the old TV back there. That's a nice touch.
I can see that. It looks really nice. You need like a floral couch, and then we can begin. So for those that don't know what Wise Up Podcast is about, would you mind, Matt, shedding some light on what we do here?
Yeah, so the Wise Up podcast is a way to get some exposure to people who you wouldn't necessarily see all the time in the channel, but who are doing amazing things, sometimes for years and years behind the scenes, right? These aren't necessarily the people who are always giving breakout sessions, who you see like making things like LinkedIn posts everywhere. We want to highlight some of the people who are really, really smart, have things to contribute, and things that you can take away and implement in your business, like right now, basically, who you probably don't know. And it's just a great way to get to know people, get some new ideas, and get some things to put into practice.
I love that. So the unsung heroes almost, right?
Yeah, we want to sung them, I guess, make them not unsung.
Yes, that's it. That is it. So yeah. So okay, so let's we're not here to talk about each other anymore. We're here to talk about them. So why don't we get today's guest up, which is actually our good friend, Badri from HitWit.ai.
Hey guys,
What's up, Badri?
Everything is great. I heard you guys talking about who this podcast is about, and I think I'm on the wrong podcast, but fine.
Glad we can get started right where we left off. That's amazing. Thank you for that. So for those watching this episode today, this is our second trying to take this episode and actually create the episode with Badri. First time, Badri was censored by the media gods. Not sure why, but now we're back, and this is called perseverance, which we should really talk about today a little bit about your perseverance in your business. Let's talk about what your business is, Badri.
HitWit is a product wizard factory. Think of it that way. It lets you create product wizards for your staff and your customers, and then turn around and sell product wizards that help your customers. It's very meta. I didn't use AI once in that sentence. That's kudos to me. Great.
You didn't, and then you messed it up by mentioning it after you did it. You could have just been done.
Can you give us like a practical example of what that would be, just in case anyone still isn't clear on exactly the theory there?
Yeah, in fact, based on what I said, I'd be amazed if anybody was clear what it does. But
well, if everybody's confused, then we need to work on your pitch.
Yeah. But okay, so what are the things that an MSP's customers care about? They want to get fast responses to problems that they have, because MSPs today are fixers of issues. Now, what if you had a product wizard that's accessible to your users and your customers, that knows exactly where they are at and answers their question, and then engages them in a conversation, find out why they asked that question, so that maybe if there is something deeper there, you can go back and reach out to them and say, hey, okay, we noticed you did this, but okay, how about this? Now, that's the simple part where it reduces the response time for your customers. That's great. That helps you retain customers. But as an MSP, you don't want to just retain your customers. You want to grow your business. And what we see happening is, I think we're in the beginning of this thing where everybody is now talking about AI. 5 years from now, they'll be wanting to use AI. And how does an MSP become part of that transformation? We give you one way to do it, which is if your customers see you using AI in your operations, they're like, hey, they're going to see your brand, and they might ask you, hey, how did you do this? Can I do this for my customers and my people? And we let you white label it and basically create the similar kind of agents for their customers.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so
I agree. That's way clearer than the first answer.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. We'll have to work on that in the future. Moving forward, though, now my question is, were you an MSP before?
Nope. So I was.
So
go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was in a completely different world. I was CTO at a private equity company, particularly for their schools and their employee training. And here is where sort of interesting things happened. Our schools are these things called alpha schools. And the idea is that kids learn all their Common Core curriculum in only 2 hours a day, and they learn it from apps. They spend the rest of the time doing projects. And that stuff sounds like some tech bro weird fantasy, but it actually works. Believe me, their scores on standardized testing went from the 80th percentile to the 99th percentile. And that's because apps are actually pretty good at teaching you stuff. They can meet you where you're at. They're not teaching a class of 30, they're teaching you if you design them well. But the same thing would never work for our employee training. And that's because Common Core is Common Core. It doesn't change from one day to the other. But a product spec and a company's process changes all the time. And so you can't create an app that says that walks somebody through this till generative AI came along. And that's the magic of it, is it almost lets you take any piece of content and create a wizard out of it, like I said, something that can basically meet you where you're at. You ask a question, it knows exactly what you know, so it'll give you the next bit of information that you need. And maybe that's all you need at that time, and you'll move on. If you need more, it basically will engage you in a conversation and sort of help you along. And so when this generative AI thing came along, I started this company, and here we are.
Why do you think MSP should be?
Go ahead, John.
I one follow-up question, Matt. I'm done. Just why do you think the MSP market makes sense then for you? What made you come after the MSP market?
So if you look at where all the AI adoption is right now, all the big companies, and even if you take the channel space, the large service providers, they've got their game on. They've got teams of people doing this. And, I'm always about the little guy. My heart bleeds for the little guy. I'm thinking of the MSP, which doesn't have an AI engineer on staff, which doesn't have a training department, which doesn't have a customer success department. And what AI really allows you to do, if you build it well, is to essentially create all of these departments in a box. And that's why we think we'll have an impact here, because this isn't something that anybody is looking to enable right now. If Accenture is going and selling to another large company all their services. Now, who's helping the smaller companies adopt AI in their workflows?
So as you moved into the channel, the MSP market, what do you notice people are doing with AI right now? What's AI look like for your typical customer?
Good question. So I see 2 or 3 patterns. One pattern is that people will use this only for their internal operations. And what that means, for example, is let's say you brought on a new hire and you need to train them in whatever it is you do. You can basically create an AI coach for that person. Walk them through all the processes that you have, all the products that you want them to learn. And it sort of does it conversationally. What it'll do is first, it'll encourage them to ask questions and then stop and say, okay, fine, you've asked enough questions. Now play back what you just heard. And then it'll say, well, you got this mostly right. That sort of thing, something like an internal process thing. And then obviously later answer follow-on questions that they might have. A customer comes and asks a deeper question. Now they can go back to the same AI and say, hey, what about this? And it'll give them the answer. It'll also show them a video clip, if you have one, that describes how to do something, and they can see that video clip. The second pattern is you put it straight in front of your customers. That becomes your support desk. And the difference between this support desk and a traditional support desk is Again, the conversational nature of it and its ability to pull up and show videos. Videos are a very big pattern I see, particularly with MSPs, because a lot of their support questions are really about how do I do something? And you can try to answer it in text, but you're better off just showing, hey, here's a screen recording of me doing the exact same thing. Go to minute number 5 and you see it. And that's very powerful and useful.
So you can essentially, it's almost a do-it-yourself for your clients for troubleshooting. I'm not going to call it that, but almost is, because when I meet my client, I'm saying here's how you work with us. Here's the resources. Here is this AI bot that's going to answer your basic rudimentary issues.
Yeah.
You go right in here, get the answers immediately. Anything over that, will the AI then escalate or tell them to escalate, or how does that work?
It's a good question. And I think that's sort of that's a dial that you get to turn as the MSP. But the pattern I have seen is that's the power of these conversational agents is not only are they answering a question, after that you can write a prompt that says, reflect on what the customer just said. Do you think you answered their question? And if you feel like as a customer you wouldn't have understood this, you don't ask them to say thumbs up or thumbs down, because that's lame. I have a funny story about this. One of our customers, they had a support page and they had at the end of it a thumbs up or thumbs down. Did you find this helpful? And 67% had said thumbs down. And I'm like, hey, aren't you worried about this? He's like, don't worry about it. Most of them are unhappy, not because they didn't get the answer, but because they didn't like the answer. I'm like, that's a terrible thing to sort of say about your support page. But that
unhappy is unhappy for whatever reason.
I know. Yeah. So to answer your question, Sean, the basic idea is that you can get the AI to analyze that and then decide. You can set a button that says, do you want it to raise a support ticket, or do you want it to try and keep the conversation going? But in any case, you will see a dashboard, all the unanswered questions, all the questions that the AI thinks it would not have been satisfied as a customer, and you can decide to do something about it or not. That's sort of up to you.
So you're measuring all this feedback about the quality of the response and ability to resolve the issue. Do you have any stats as far as how successful it's been overall, specifically if you're service manager or owner of an MSP wanting to get an idea of to what degree something like this can really reduce technician effort and maybe ticket volume?
Yeah. So let's do 2 different things. So one is, before it became a customer, let's say they're a website visitor. And what we find today is about 20% of those who open a conversation with this bot will give you enough qualifying information for you to go target them and have the next conversation. That's an insanely high conversion ratio, because that's 20% of your website visitors who started a conversation have become qualified leads. Now go down into what the support thing looks like. Industry stats, I think, are L0 support resolves about 60% of the issue. That's basically completely automated support. And L1 support, which is one person, but not necessarily the technical expert, gets you 10% more, because it turns out there are not that many issues that a bot can't resolve, but a technician can. That used to be industry standard. Early days yet, but we are basically finding that we can cover L0 and L1 both. So the only things that get escalated are things where you truly don't have a process in place to answer that. You needed your engineering expert to come and do something about it. The good news is, when they resolve that issue, all they need to do is to record their screen and add it to the knowledge base. The next time, the same question will get answered automatically. So it's sort of it's a cycle that sort of drills bugs down as you go along.
So is that really the I don't want to say one of us is lagging. It might be me this time. Is that the biggest challenge in a way to implementation? Like, you have to have your own processes documented beforehand?
No. So if you have a website, and we will automatically crawl it for you. So in 5 minutes. So all you need to start using our product is go to hitwit.ai/try now. We need you to have a website and we need you to have a business email ID. And within 5 minutes, you will get a wizard you can put on your website if you choose, or you can create a training lesson for your staff. Now that's based only on whatever we could get from you, from your website, from your YouTube page, from Google searches, and from LinkedIn. So we will do all that ourselves. The good pattern I always encourage people to do is don't overthink this. Just put that wizard out there, and you're going to find 10 different questions that are not answered. Answer them. Sort of, instead of trying to anticipate what somebody needs, just put it out there, collect their needs, and then address them. And before you know it, you'll have a perfectly good product coach or a support wizard.
Okay, got it.
Now, you threw out some stats, and you talked about the difference in people's responsibilities. There's a big concern about that tier 1, level 1 tech, with jobs, right?
Yeah.
So, and also even MSPs being able to grasp what to do to make it work worth their while and work and make an AI work for them in general, to be able to elevate their people. So how easy or how hard is it for them to develop this stuff, processes? Where do they start with this? Because a lot of them don't have a starting point even. They've kind of, especially when you look at the owner-led everything,
correct.
They usually just do it. It's second nature to them. So how do they start to build this to be able to scale their business? And how do they scale it to ensure their employees can scale with them?
Right. It's a great question. And I'll throw some other stat at you. So if you're a largish enterprise, what you're doing is you're spending on the average $1,000 per person on what the learning and development department. And it turns out 4/5 of that, $800 per person, is being spent on a trainer persona, somebody whose job it is to go train other people, monitor the training, and so on. The world that we're entering, that job becomes obsolete. You talk about jobs that become obsolete. The job that becomes obsolete is the explainer persona, because now an expert can more or less think of it this way. What this AI, forget about just us, any of these AI systems, what they're doing is they're giving products a voice. If you have a product or a process that you can use, you can make it explainable, or you can make it understandable to somebody new that's coming in. So roundabout answer to your question, Sean, is if you're an owner, I would say it's super simple. Just record whatever it is you want somebody to know. We have a button that lets you record your screen. And that's about all that's about all you need to do to create training and create ongoing support for your people. Because the AI just takes that and say, okay, what would Sean say to this? Think of it that way, right? That's what it does. Is if you have a new hire and you're trying to train them, what they want to know is, what would you say to a particular situation that you came up against, that they come up against? And now an AI can answer that. It won't be perfect in the beginning. And that's where I'm saying there is an iterative process here. You can tell what it didn't answer, go fix that. And then before you know it, it's a perfectly good coach for your people.
Perfect.
Got it. Are you seeing any of your customers, just because someone's going to ask this, replace humans, replace any positions yet, or is it really more of an enabler enhancement to the existing staff?
We haven't seen anybody lose people yet, thankfully. But that being said, this is a worry. I won't pretend that. Basically, those of us who are in the bleeding edge of this, I do look around and see whole job functions either transforming dramatically or becoming obsolete. If wearing my member of society hat, I do worry. I do worry about what's going to happen. But that's the thing with any of these technologies, right? Even if it's not going to replace anybody this quarter. You sort of think about, okay, what does it mean for your company a year out if all your support tickets 90% of your support tickets get handled by the AI, but the 10% that do remain need somebody high skilled. So this whole thing that you're seeing about what AI does is replace the entry level jobs or the lower skill jobs is probably true. I would certainly worry about it as a member of society. As a business owner, I suppose it lets you cut costs. But again, the what I do with my business when I have people is I basically just invest in the people that I do have, because the only way my business is going to succeed is if they become better and better skilled. So for example, today we ship products faster because we let AI do most of the grunt coding. However, if somebody doesn't understand the whole complex system, whatever AI code it is, it's going to break the whole system. So you do need the people who are there to be like one level up, right? And that doesn't happen overnight. I mean, they're not going to acquire that skill overnight. So you do need to invest in your people and keep them around.
Yeah, it's a good point, and we don't have time to go down this road too far. But every time we start thinking about that, I started thinking about, is there a future where, there's nobody left who knows how to do some of this stuff that used to be done automatically and is now AI done, right? Like the people who know how to build servers might disappear when we're all cloud one day, like the same thing happening with AI. I don't want to open that can of worms necessarily, but it's something that I've thought about as the AI prevalence is coming up.
Yeah, I mean, the other alternative is robots are not yet as good as conversational AI. So the only job that might be safe are the jobs building servers,
Yeah.
All right. You've been around this space for a while, but is this your first entrepreneurship you're doing?
No.
Or have you been an entrepreneur before? Because you said you were.
Yeah, that's right. So from 2017 to 2019, I built a company that at that point did AI with computer vision for retail. So our stuff is actually in a few Best Buy stores and CVS stores. If you walk in there, we had these AIs or computer vision systems attached to cameras, and it would sort of identify who you are and try and change the content on the screen depending on what you seem to be interested in on the panel.
Nice.
So yeah.
What made you make the change to become an entrepreneur, though?
Deep psychological problems. Yeah, but jokes apart, it's always been something that I wanted to do, create something and get a product out there, and just the journey is a lot of fun. So yeah, and the good thing about being in tech is you get to do that. I mean, it's not easy to start a rocket company. You need to be Mr. Musk, but it's reasonably easy, I'd say, to start a business building cool tech for other business owners. So yeah.
Well, I think we're going to use that as a segue to what our last question usually is as we start to wrap up and run out of time here. We ask everyone who comes on the show the same question, and I think you unintentionally teed it up for yourself here. The question is, if you're giving advice to our viewers, our listeners, what is a habit that they should establish or that they should break just to improve their businesses or to help with this topic in particular, right? With this AI topic, what should they start doing or stop doing?
It's a great question. Let me try this. If any project that you take on, I would start by having a chat with any of the leading AI systems about it. It's a great way to get another voice in your own head, so to speak. That's how I sort of scope projects these days. When I think about, okay, I'll give you an example. So we're building a Salesforce integration for one of our customers. It was just in a throwaway conversation. They said, hey, we'd like to see these leads that you get on the widget on our Salesforce. And instead of just going and writing a project requirements document, I went and had a chat with ChatGPT, and I'm happy to share that in the show notes if you like. It sort of takes you through a different path. It's like, oh, have you considered this? Have you considered that? It makes me clearer about what it is I want as a business outcome. And it does two things. It clarifies things for me. And to my engineers, I actually don't give them project requirements anymore. I give them this chat. And so they know where my head is at. Like they know what I'm actually getting at, because I might not explain it clearly to them. But now if they see the chat, they're like, oh yeah, fine, this is where we're going, right? So I would say, quick advice, use these things. Don't, it's easy to either say that they're toys, or that they're dumb sentence completion engines. It is as good as how you use them. Learn to use these things well. They're transformative.
Love it.
Absolutely. So we can go on a tangent. I'm not going to go on a tangent. Forget it. Moving on. Thank you for that. I literally caught myself. I was like, no, we're not going there. So anything else, Matt, that we need to add onto this?
No, I think we got some good advice, and I love the way that you just ended this with, use the tools at your disposal, right? Just use them in your day-to-day life, business operations. Like even before you start thinking about how can I make this the most profitable thing ever, just use them for their intended purpose right then and there. I think that's amazing advice.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right. So, well, that's all the time we have for today, Badri. Thank you so much. Thanks for staying on the podcast this time. We really appreciate that. But
see, I didn't use any of
the good luck to you. You did well today. Thank you for that. Thank you for learning technology and how to use it. Really appreciate that. But again, thank you. Good luck with Pitch It this year. Yeah, that's all we have for now. Matt, until the next time, man. We'll see you guys later, I guess.
It was a lot of fun, guys.
Bye, guys.